Welcome to Beach Party Radio, bringing you the best music and interviews of Carolina beach music artists from North and South Carolina and along the Grand Strand of Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. You can find us on the web at beachpartyradio.com and on Facebook and Twitter at Beach Party Radio. Now, here's your host, DJ Delta Dawn.
Well, hello. Welcome to Beach Party Radio. And yes, I am the host, DJ Delta Dawn. I'm so glad to be here with you on your Tuesday evening. Now, if you're in North Carolina, like I am, depending upon where you are, you may be getting snow today and this evening. And as I understand it, the coastal region of our state is going to get hammered with a major snowstorm and an ice storm, which is just unheard of. And if you're listening from other parts of the country, as you know, if you live on the coast where you are, it's just virtually an unknown. I mean, I think the beach gets snow about once every 10 years. So it's really a rarity, but we're kind of excited. We don't get it. I know if you're from the north and you're listening, you're laughing at us. I mean, 1 to 3 inches is huge for us, and you're like, that's just a cakewalk. But, you know, just bear with us, okay? I hope your day has been wonderful. Ours certainly has, and despite the snow, it's just a great evening to be inside listening to the radio. And I tell you, if you're brand new to our program tonight, we are so glad to have you with us. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen in, because you picked a great night. I have a legend on the line tonight who is going to be our special guest, and I'll be bringing him on in just a moment. And I say legend because he has been around the music scene for so long and has done so much, and people everywhere love him. And I'm a huge fan and have been for a very long time. But he has been entertaining audiences with top-of-class music and performances for decades, and was also a member of the international pop R&B group Chairmen of the Board, whose legacy was built by the late great Grammy Award-winning General Johnson. And today, our special guest continues that same value with his band, Ken Knox Company, and he is a member of the North Carolina Music Hall of Fame, the South Carolina R&B Beach Music Hall of Fame, and the Carolina Beach Music Hall of Fame. And he and his band have a new single out, which is, oh my gosh, just running up the beach charts and is getting so much airplay, so much positive feedback, international airplay, entitled I'm Ready, Willing, and Able, and we're going to be playing that a little bit later in our program. But without further ado, I am so pleased and proud to welcome Mr. Ken Knox. Hello.
Delta.
Hello. Hi, how are you? I didn't know if you were on there for a second.
Oh, I'm here. But let me say this.
Yes.
Sounds like I wear a lot of hats.
That's what? No doubt about it. And I was thinking that myself. It kind of exhausted me a little bit. I was like, man, does he ever sleep? You know,
yeah.
you are a busy man. Busy indeed.
Yeah. Well, let me start with this snow. You're exactly right. Now I'm living in South Carolina, right outside of Charlotte, and we're having. I looked out on my deck about 4 or 5 o'clock this evening, and there was like probably about 1.5 inches. Now, I grew up in Detroit, and you're right. See, all the people who grew up in the North, this is a cakewalk. I mean, we had to go to school when it was snow up to your knees.
Yeah.
We had to get out there. But anyway, it's fun. Enjoy the flakes, have some fun, drink some hot coffee or cocoa, and let the kids, play in it. Hey, but anyway, I am delighted to be on your show tonight.
The pleasure and privilege is all mine, Ken. I am so excited. Ever since we booked this with you, I've just been like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that you are going to be on the show. And the reason for that is because your history with the Chairman of the Board, and then just your career. I mean, you have done some incredible things in music, and it's just such an honor to have someone of your caliber on our show. So thank you so very much for being here.
Listen, let me just say this. I listen to a lot of shows, a lot of radio shows, and I tell you, you have one of the best formats that's out there, and people are talking about you. And I wish you so much success with this show, because I previewed your show, and I fell in love love with it. And I'm not just saying because you're on the other end, but this is something that makes my hair rise. I say, oh my God, here's another one. I mean, you're saying boom, 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 all these songs, and man, you have a great show, and again, pleasure being here with you.
Oh, well, thank you. That is one of the greatest, highest compliments I've ever received, and thank you so very much. That means a great deal coming from you. And we do it because, well, I grew up, born and raised in North Carolina, but I've always been a beach girl. Love, love, love the Grand Strand of Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. And, it's just music, beach music, and this, Motown, neo-soul, all that music has always been near and dear to my heart. And there aren't that many shows like this out there promoting all the great music of this genre, Ken. So, and I love radio. I said, why not? So yeah, it has. It's kind of taken me by surprise, but again, I'm honored that you love it and that you're here today. So I want to talk about the amazing career that you've had. And I guess the first thing I want to talk about is, some of your earliest influences in music, because, I mean, as you said, you grew up in Detroit. My gosh, you were right in the midst of the Motown sound era. So I can't even begin to imagine how you could even narrow down your influences,
Well, very easily. Like you said, see, growing up in Detroit, man, I went to the Motown School of Music, basically. Man, it was coming out of everybody's. If you go walking down the street as a teenager, you're hearing it coming out of the homes, you're hearing it coming out of the cars, out of the, when you're in the park, music is playing. All you're getting is a steady dose of Motown, and every teenager that I knew wanted to be in a singing group or playing an instrument, and I mean, you had teenagers wanting to be the Temptations, pretending to be the Four Tops, Smokey Robinson and the Miracles, and even the females wanted to be the Supremes and Mary Wells. And along to go with that, when you have music, you have to have someone who plays the music, like instruments. So you had people like a lot of the musicians were influenced by James Jamerson. Have you ever heard that name before?
It does ring a bell. It does sound familiar.
James Jamerson was the bass player that you hear or heard on all those Motown songs, and his influence is so strong. He influenced Paul McCartney. He influenced the best bass players in the world. They look up to James Jamerson. Then you had drummers. You had keyboardists. Now, see, I play saxophone, and my influence was Junior Walker.
Mm.
And
oh, yeah.
You had guitars. Eddie Willis was one that comes to mind. And so, like I said, either people were singing or they were playing instruments. And thank God I picked up my saxophone.
I've heard you sing though, Ken. So you're equally as talented as a singer, and but yeah, I mean,
you're too kind.
No, I mean that. And when you talk about the Motown sound, I mean that. I've always loved music. Grew up loving music, but to me, that type of music has always drawn me to it more than any other genre because, gosh, when you think about some of the great legends of Motown, Smokey Robinson, and I mean, gosh, you've got so many artists that just filled up that block.
Right,
of great music.
And those songs, you know where you were when you heard these songs.
Yeah, exactly. And you never forget that. It's unforgettable. But it's also the kind of music that's just timeless. I mean, even though it was made, several decades ago, it just still today, people love it as if it were new and fresh all over again. And that's the great appeal to Motown music that I have found personally for myself in listening to it. It just never gets old. And I love the fact that it's such a part of the beach music genre because the two just go together, so very well, like hand in glove almost. And
you're right.
It's just they complement each other so well.
Very much so. It's the soundtrack of America.
Mhm. I agree.
What Motown music is. I mean, golly, you cannot turn the TV without hearing a My Girl being played in the background, or watching a movie where that's played, or tops, man. Come on. I mean,
yeah,
Jesus. I mean, it's the soundtrack of America.
exactly.
And you're right. Beach music, they go hand in hand because, I mean, it influenced the guys to start writing those type of songs in the beach music field.
Yeah.
I mean, it's again soundtrack of America and Europe. Now,
oh gosh,
they
I know.
are just as crazy about Motown over in England. I mean, it's timeless over there. There's one guy who's a DJ. He named himself Motown Chalky.
Ah.
And so, you know, the influence is worldwide. And Berry Gordy was a very smart man. And
oh, my gosh.
you know, we all looked up to him. Have you ever had the chance to see Standing in the Shadows of Motown?
No, I have not. I have not.
And your listeners need to get that. You will learn a lot from the DVD, Standing in the Shadows of Motown. Basically, it's about the musicians, what they went through by not getting credit on records and everything like that. And it's a great, great documentary. And it's not boring. It's very entertaining, and you will learn something from it.
Oh gosh! Now I'm going to have to go watch it. I'm going to have to watch it. It is definitely a must see, because I love anything about that era. You know, especially the history behind it. And gosh, Berry Gordy. I mean, I wonder, did he really have any idea? He was such a visionary of how big Motown was going to become. You know, as he implemented that sound and introduced it into the music scene. I mean, my gosh, just the power of it all. It's just incredible.
You're right. Very much so.
Well, you know, you spoke about everybody in Detroit that listen to music, love music, wanted to be in a band, and I have no doubt that you were no exception to that. What was the first band that you were in?
Okay, my first band wasn't mine. I was asked to join a band, and that group was called the Impacts, and we, as everybody, you start in the basement. Start in the basement, learn to play songs and slowing the record down so you can pick your part out and this and that. And so we decided to keep playing and sharpening our craft. And finally, we recorded some records, and we're starting to get attention. And it was fun because all guys, it was all about girls. You know, all the guys was musicians. They wanted to play so they can have girlfriends and stuff like that. So,
yeah.
And it was also fun to see people dance to the music and sit there and just really enjoy what you do. So that was my first band. It was called the Impacts, and we had some regional records out in Detroit. You know what? It was either get a job at the car factory or continue playing music, and I'm so glad I did.
Well, you know, I have to say, being a fan of yours for a long time, I am so happy that you pursued music because it definitely was the path you were destined to take. And now, you know, that was your first band, but as many people know, you went on to become part of Chairman of the Board, and that has been such a huge, you know, part of your life and your music career. And talk a little bit about how that all came about. How did you end up becoming a part of Chairman of the Board and the auditioning for that?
All right. It was in stages, actually. See, when I was with the group The Impacts, Danny Woods happened to come into the nightclub we were performing at. And back in the day when you had entertainers come in, they always wanted to sit in with the band. So we let Danny sit in. So, I mean, everything was clicking. I mean, myself and the trumpet player and Danny, we were dancing on top of the bar.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it was electric. I mean, that night was electric. The people were going crazy because Danny Woods is so full of energy, and it morphed off into us, and we were standing on top of the bar singing and playing our horns, and the place was going crazy. So after finishing that, Danny said, look, Chairman of the Board, we're putting together a touring band. to go out nationally and internationally. He said, I want you guys to come audition. First of all, when I was in school, Chairmen of the Board was one of my favorite groups. I never dreamed that I would be a part of the Chairmen of the Board. So when we went to audition down at Invictus Records, I'm not sure if you're familiar with Invictus or not. Right, so we had to go down to Invictus Records to audition, and the band that was already there was the Funkadelics. Are you familiar with George Clinton? I'm sure you are.
Yes, all too well.
Yeah. So the Funkadelics was the band.
Oh, wow.
And so now it's, oh, wow. I'm nervous. The other my friend, he was nervous, but they took a liking to me and him, and we made the audition. It was probably the hardest thing I've ever done in my life because all that influence there. There's General, there's Danny, there's Harrison Kennedy. You had the producers there, and then the Funkadelics. So now we had to play with these guys, and actually it was magic when after the audition, they said, "Hey, you guys are in," and that was the biggest day of my life.
Oh, I bet so. Can you imagine? I mean, it's just, it's like I've said. I can totally relate because doing my radio shows, and interviewing some of the people like yourself, for example. It's growing up listening to Chairman of the Board, never envisioning that one day I would be doing a beach music radio show and would be interviewing Ken Knox of the Chairman of the Board. I mean, that's just surreal to me. So I can totally relate to how that must have felt for you in that moment.
You've got to get Danny Woods.
Oh, well, I certainly will.
Yeah, I'll hook it up for you. Because,
okay, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah, and that was how I became. Well, again, it started out with the touring band. My first show was in Detroit, and every musician or singer always wants to perform at home. And so that was our first show. We did a concert at a place called the Cobo Arena. Probably held about 15,000 people or something like that. And on that show was Eddie Kendricks.
Yeah.
Yeah. He had that song out, Keep on Truckin', Babe.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So I was excited about that, Eddie Kendricks, and then there was the Supremes, honestly. I said, wow, the Supremes, I remember hearing it. So there they were with their gowns and everything.
My God.
It was a group called the 100 Proof. They had Somebody Been Sleeping in My Bed. Even Fogg had recorded that as well, which was written by General and Greg Perry. So.
Oh, well, I never knew that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yes. So that's the first night in Detroit. Now, I'd never been on a plane before. I'm just out of school, just out of high school.
Now, what year was that, Ken? If you don't mind me.
I can't tell you that. Okay, then you know how old I am.
Well, all right.
Let me tell you, it was in the 70s.
It was a good while ago. It was a good while ago. How about that?
Yeah, a good while ago. So, again, after we finished the show in Detroit, then they said, well, listen, we've got to be in New York at 10 o'clock. So, oh, my God, how are we going to do this? And they said, well, we got a Learjet waiting.
Oh, my gosh.
So we all load up on this, I think it was a 15-passenger Learjet, and then we fly on into New York to Madison Square Gardens. And now my mind is blown.
I bet so.
Like I said, never been on the plane, playing in front of 15 to 20 and 30,000 people all in one night.
Yeah, you didn't even have time to really process what was going on, I bet.
I didn't. I was just so nervous.
You were just going with it, right?
I was going with it and glad to be a part of it.
Oh, so yeah.
The very next day, we had to go to New Orleans. From New Orleans, and in New Orleans, the show was with Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Oh, my gosh.
And so these are all my heroes that I've, come up listening to, and now I'm performing with these guys on the same show. So that was one of the best days, best thing that happened to me in my musical career because I never thought I'd get out of the city of Detroit. But now I'm traveling nationally and in style.
I know, really, on a Learjet, a private Learjet, just, you know, it's surreal and, like I said, just a whirlwind in those first moments because you really didn't have any time to even process it. You just had to go and next thing you know, you're playing with Earth, Wind, and Fire in a 30,000 seat arena. I mean, how cool is that? You know, it just doesn't get any better than that.
It doesn't. You know, and I feel very fortunate for Danny and General and for accepting me in the band. So again, it started from the band. So there was General Johnson, Danny Woods, and Harrison Kennedy. Now, the way I moved up front was the fact that Harrison Kennedy had left the group.
Oh, okay.
And General came to me, said, we heard you sing a little bit. We want you to move up front. And I was really, 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 really nervous then.
No pressure, no pressure.
Yeah. And see, and the song Finders Keepers was out then. And doing so, see, the way that the Chairman of the Board was structured, it wasn't really like a singing group. It was like musicians and singers. Because even General played piano on stage. Danny Woods played congas. Harrison blew harmonica. And then we had the two horns, and then the Funkadelics as rhythm section. We were unstoppable.
Oh, gosh.
Unstoppable.
That's indicative in all the great hits the Chairman of the Board put out. And if you don't mind, I want to play one of the songs that you and I spoke about recently, Finders Keepers. You were just speaking about that just now. You know, that is one of those songs that I didn't hear as much growing up, but, man, it is one of those that the first time I ever heard it, I instantly loved it, which was the way it was with a lot of the COB songs. I mean, there was just this magic element to Chairman of the Board music that every song that you guys released was just a hit. I mean, you knew it was listeners knew it was going to be a hit. It just every song was just so good.
But when you're surrounded by talented people, that it has to come out.
That's right.
On that song.
Oh, God.
And so you know it's the Funkadelics playing the instruments.
Oh, gosh, that is awesome. Well, and I love the fact that you're here, you know, because I don't get this privilege often when I'm doing my beach music show of having, you know, history tidbits by someone in the business who knows music like yourself. So this is awesome. I never knew that about the Funkadelics playing on this, but
I'll teach you, girl. Just
stick with you. We'll go places. All right, well, here is Chairman of the Board and Finders Keepers.
Now you realize you made a mistake, but now she's mine, and we're doing fine. You can't steal her love, no use in trying. But it's too late. No need to try. I'm never gonna give a love to my life.
That is good stuff, Ken.
Awesome,
I mean,
awesome.
I couldn't sit still. I was moving the whole time. I was hoping that it wasn't being picked up on the mic because I tell you, that is the thing of that Chairman of the Board music that I love. It is a moving and grooving kind of music. You cannot sit still and listen to it, and it's impossible.
Let me say something. Now, you hear that trombone solo?
Yeah.
Now, when we went to New York that night, all the musicians that was for the other bands that was there, they were all over this guy. His name was McKinley Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
They loved that trombone because nobody plays trombone like that traditionally. Right now, McKinley Jackson is the musical director for the Temptations.
Oh, wow.
And that track of Finders Keepers is so strong that Casey and the Sunshine came up with something similar to that. If you think about Get Down Tonight,
and
they were influenced by the music. I remember we were over in England, and the bus driver was playing some KC. So Jones said, wait a minute, that sounds like Finders Keeper. So the bus driver, he said, turn it up for a minute. And it was almost very, very similar to Finders Keepers. So the music is very influential. But to tell you about the trombone player, he's phenomenal. He's also an arranger, and he's done a lot of big things. In fact, I was with him in Detroit back in July. Are you familiar with Don Was?
Yes.
It was Don. I was with Don Was, McKinley Jackson, and James Jamerson Jr. in Detroit for a concert that Don Was puts on. He puts on a concert called Don Was' Detroit All Stars. So it was a pleasure meeting him and found out he was a fan.
Oh, wow.
Yes, he says, listen, I've always been a fan of the Chairman of the Board, and this guy here has produced Ringo Starr, Elton John. He said, how did you in general like the way I produced Patches that I did on B.B. King and George Jones? I told him we loved it. So what I'm telling you is talented people draw each other.
Oh, yeah,
and
definitely.
I was very, very honored to be a part of that, of his Detroit All-Stars.
Oh, definitely. I mean, and what a show that had to have been, too.
Oh, yeah, it was very, very good. I mean, it's just awesome, man. Just awesome. And believe it or not, Ringo Starr was there backstage. And it was funny, I was watching the Grammys the other night, and he was playing with Ringo.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah. But anyway.
Small world indeed. Well, you know, that's the thing. I mean, the Chairman of the Board, has had so much success and hit after hit after hit, and the longevity of the band. You know, there's a lot of bands that don't make it as long as you guys, you know, have been around, and the music just continues to live on, you know, beyond General. And talk a little bit about General Johnson, you know, the kind of person that he was, because I know that was such a huge loss for, you know, the music scene, the beach music scene, and huge loss for, of course, chairman of the board. So what was it like to work with him?
Wow. Working with General was like the best 35 years plus of my life, because General was basically, he was a genius. Whatever the man thought of and wrote about was a hit.
No doubt.
I'm talking internationally and nationally. You said you were surprised when you found out he wrote Somebody Sleep in My Bed. Listen, he's written songs for, of course, Clarence Carter, Patches. He's written songs for the Honeycomb. They had a hit called Somebody Sleep. Wait a minute, what? Oh, Want Ads. But being around General was like, he was like my big brother. He was my mentor. And Danny, same way. Danny was the same thing. They were my big brothers. And losing General was a big loss to everybody. I mean, I was getting calls from Los Angeles Times doing interviews, from Charlotte Observer. I had just left his home for the funeral. I come back to Charlotte, and I get a phone call. I had to go do a TV interview about it, and man, I was in no shape to be talking about that.
Sure.
They wanted. I had to do it, and because he meant a lot. He meant a lot to me. The fans, I mean, they missed him just like yourself, you know. And I bet he would have loved to have been on your show.
Oh.
I'm telling you, I can feel that he would love to have been a part of your show. But General was a great influence to myself and General, believe it or not. And Danny. I mean, we were brothers. I mean, golly, we shared the stage together, night after night, year after year. We slept and ate music together, recording studio. I learned a lot in the recording studio because General was a triple threat. He could sing, he could produce, and arrange. Now, you don't find that many.
No, you don't. That's a rarity.
That's a rarity. And he was a triple threat, and I'm so fortunate to be sitting alongside of him when on our albums. You know, I was an assistant producer on our albums and stuff, and I learned a lot, and I think and I hope it's coming out through the music that I'm doing now. But yes, General was. People thought he was a mean guy, but he wasn't. If he liked you, he would smother you.
You know, I never got that perception of him. He was the consummate entertainer for one thing, but he just seemed like a really, you know, gentle soul and just, gosh, highly inspiring with the way that he just could, you know, like you said, genius in the way he wrote music, produced music, and constantly hit after hit. I mean, I don't think you guys never had a hit. Everything you did was a hit. So I don't think he knew any other way than to just put out music that was going to be, you know, a hit.
Yeah, listen, he can write about the leaf falling off a tree, and it's a hit.
Exactly.
So we go in the studio and record it. Ken, what you think about this? Man, wait a minute. What about if we do this? And so then he said, yeah, that sounds good. And so it was just good, man. And Danny, you know, called Danny in. Danny, we got to do this song. And Danny lived in Greensboro. We were in Charlotte. And So Danny had to come all the way down to Charlotte and put his part on, and come on, man, it was just magic. So, but really, people thought that General was very mean. There were some people that felt like that, and but it's the fact that if he didn't know you, he didn't, you know.
Yeah.
But once you got to know him, just like you say, he was a gentle soul, and he really was.
Well, and, you know, but I think that's a lot of people, you know, I don't think there are some people who are just naturally, you know, they just jump in with both feet. But I think a lot, I know myself in particular, you know, until I get to know someone, I'm a little standoffish, you know, to a point.
Yeah.
But that's human nature. And, but yeah, that's interesting that some people perceived him that way, because he certainly didn't come across to me that way at all. And I never met him personally, but, you know, he just always seemed to have a very good-natured side about him. And I really believe the reason why I perceive that is because that always came through in the music. And I think that's why so many people were just so drawn to your music, was that because it really did emulate through that. And you know, it's just feel-good music. I mean, how could you not feel good? I mean, if the people writing it didn't feel good themselves, so that's kind of what I got from it. But yeah.
You're right.
Unbelievable.
Good music. And if I can say something about Europe for a minute right quick.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you have these songs or not. Do you have a song called I'm on My Way to a Better Place?
I do indeed.
Now, do you have a song called Elmo James?
I do.
And see, what I want to do, I'm trying to educate the audience and yourself to the other side of the Carolina beach music. These are national records.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever we would go to Europe, especially England, they would love I'm on My Way to a Better Place and Elmo James. But when General passed, the song seems it was just right. Have you heard words of that song?
Oh, yes, I have.
Right. Can you play that song?
Yes. And, you know, I've never really thought of it like that before, but now that you mention it, it's spot on. I mean,
it is.
It's very, very incredibly fitting, to be honest.
It is. I don't want to bring anybody down, but I want to hear it.
Okay. All right. Well, we're going to play them now. So I'm on my way to a better place.
I'm on my way to a better place. I'm leaving hate and prejudice behind. I'm on my way to a better place. I'm on my way to a better place. I'm on my way to a better place. I'm not free to have with pain. Oh, I'm on my way to a better place. The gates of River Street are Chairmen road. I'm on my way to a better place. The young and I'm on my way to a better place. Destination is love, come and go with me there. It's all in your mind, we all need to be there. And giving Jesus Christ the heart and soul. I'm on my way to a better place. I'm on my way to a better place. Where love is free, to have the peace. Oh, I'm on my way to a better place. Now they wanna go with me to a better place. This love is yours. Way. Come on with me to a better place. It ain't hard to find.
Wow, that just gives you cold chills, Ken, for sure.
Doesn't it? That's what I'm saying.
Oh yes,
You know,
it's
the influence, man. You know, we had a lot of influence, not only in the Carolinas, but around the world. And I still talk with some people now who, if I post something on Facebook, they will send me pictures of when we were over there and remind me of this and that. And, you know, I would have thought people had forgotten these things, but no, they still remember. I might do something that triggers something, and they say, oh, my God, yeah. So, yeah, that's a very powerful song. And whenever we would go over there, that was a must. We had to do those two songs. You don't have to play the other one because I want to move up to what we're doing now.
sure, definitely.
I've moved up now. But, you know, with the loss of General, I knew that I had to, well, one of the last things he told me was he wanted me to continue our legacy, to go out, do the best show that you can do. My goal is to honor his wishes because, again, I spent 35 plus years with him. That's a long time, as long as marriages or whatever. And that was one of the last things he told me because, first of all, he thought he was going to be able to come back until he got sicker. So that's what I'm doing. So, and with the love of the fans, I have to mention them. You know, with the loss of General, all the fans said, listen, Ken, we don't care what you call it. We're behind you. And we support you. And they support Danny. And they support my group, KCO, or Ken Knox Company. So I know there's two things. I have to do this for our fans and for General.
Oh yeah, and you, I mean, who better to do it than you? And gosh, what an honor to bestow upon you that General did. You know, because that just goes to show how selfless he was as a human being, but also how important the legacy of Chairman of the Board was to him as well.
Oh man, yeah. I mean, golly, that's it. I mean, legacy. I mean, I can't say any more about that, but yeah, you're right. To put that pressure on me, But you know what? If he didn't think I could handle it, he would never ask.
I was about to say, and you know, and I'm sure, you know, when General first passed, I mean, I'm every fan of Chairman of the Board. That was probably one of the initial questions people had in their minds was, will the show go on? How will it go on? You know, will it be able to go on? And to be able to know that you had those conversations with him before then, and what his wishes were, and that you knew that you were going to be able to provide that for the fans worldwide, you know, was just an incredible blessing to be able to still be here to do that and to carry that on. So, and that's a great gift for the fans as well, because we're still getting to reap the rewards. And you know, and not only to carry on the Chairman of the Board legacy, but now Ken Knox Company, you've started your own thing, and you know, you're keeping it
right,
creating music to stay current, but you're, you know, it's got that reminiscent sound of Chairman of the Board, which is great for the fans, but it gives them something new introduced to the mix as well to love, and that's the great thing about it.
And see what we did, we basically, Chairman of the Board, okay, the three of us are not together anymore anyway. So what we decided to do, let's put this name on the shelf, put it up on the mantle, leave it there. And again, start with me continuing, because I'm a part of the legacy. Danny's a part of the legacy.
Sure.
Danny is continuing his as well. And at some point, we will do some shows together. But Danny's having some health issues, but I think he's getting himself together. And in fact, I was with Danny this November down at the Grammy Awards. We had a great time together, and so again, you have two pieces of the puzzle that's out there. So we're giving our fans what they want, and this is something, again, that was one of the General's wishes. And you know, and let me just tell you something. The first song I wrote, I had never written a song before because General was our principal songwriter. Now, it's very intimidating to be sitting next to someone who has Grammys, who was Songwriter of the Year. I mean, I'm talking about nationally. You know, you know, Producer of the Year nationally. Very intimidating. But I think he was teaching me the whole time. I'm not going to say I know he was. He was teaching me the whole time. And when my wife had bought me an iPad when they first come out, and there was an app called GarageBand.
Oh, yeah.
So I started playing with this thing, GarageBand. I started working with the drums because, again, him and I produced the records down here. So I'm playing with this, and I called her in. I said, I think I have a song. She said, it sounds like it. But I remember it well. It was on a Sunday night, about 9:20, and I felt like General was sitting next to me, guiding me, because, again, I had never written a song in my life. Oh,
wow. That's powerful, Ken.
I'm just telling you the truth. And, I remember the day and the time, and sitting right next to me as I'm doing this, because all of a sudden I've got a song, and I said, I'm going to call this song You. And I went to the recording studio the next day, and the engineer said, wow, this is like we've never stopped working, because it was General, myself, and the engineer's name is Mark Stallings. When I showed him the song, he said, wow, this is like we've never stopped. I said, Mark, General was with me last night. So, anyway, do you have You?
I do not. No, I do not. And
I should. Don't worry about it.
But I do have your single that we've been playing and promoting, I'm Ready, Willing, and Able. And I was going to ask you the title of that song. I just personally wondered myself if that title was linked in any way to, General kind of passing the torch, so to speak, on to you to carry out the legacy, and that was kind of your way of acceptance. You know, that was kind of the
guess
what I got from the title.
Guess what? You're the only one that's really, really gotten it.
Oh, yeah?
Yes, because I've had a lot of DJs tell me, listen, people have been calling me up saying, is this the same song General wrote? And the DJ says I had to tell them no. But you said it best. This is my way. Now, General had a title called Ready, Willing, and Able.
Mm-hmm.
Mine is I'm Ready, Willing, and Able.
Yeah.
Got to fight for your love.
Mm-hmm.
But that is my way of honoring him with a partial title.
Mm-hmm. And I think it's so perfect, you know, and I think diehard fans of Chairman of the Board really should get that because of the, you know, Ready, Willing, and Able COB song. And to just have you do that, I think is such a great honor to General Johnson himself and what he contributed to the band and as a whole. But just to be able to take that forward into where things are now and Ken Knox Company, I said, wow, what a great
and I'm glad you said Ken Knox Company because I have to say this. The other members of Ken Knox Company is Thomas Hunter.
Mm-hmm.
It's Jerry D. Washington. It's Brandon Stevens. It's Lonnie Dotson. It's Jerry Hardison. It's Jerome Joseph. Ron Henderson. Those guys was with me when General, when I first went out.
Mm-hmm.
And they've given me 100%. And actually, Thomas Hunter is singing with me on this song.
Oh, gosh.
Singing the second part of it. And I'm sure we can go out with that song. But let me just say this, that there's no me without them. And so they make up KCO or Ken Knox Company.
Well, and I just have to ask you before we wrap, what has it been like for you? Because, you know, you were up front with General Johnson and Chairman of the Board, and now you're front and center. And how has that been for you making? Because that's another transition for you in the midst of everything else that you've done here. But gosh, what has that been like?
Delta, can I call you Delta?
Sure.
That was very, very scary. I don't know where I was able to. I mean, because again, see, General, Danny, and myself, but General and Danny did most of the singing.
Mm-hmm.
And now I've had to come out front, and it was like I didn't have time to think about this one again. I didn't have time to think about it. I had to go do it. And the thing about it is the fans accepted what I've done, and I owe a lot to them because they loved me coming out. And well, not coming out their way, but they loved me coming up front and fronting this band. It was a natural progression, and thank God I was ready for it. So and thank you for asking.
Well, you know, I can't help but think that all those many years ago when General Johnson said, I want you to come up front with me, that in some remote, small way, you were being prepped for this moment that you're at now. I really have to believe that because although you had no way of knowing, General had no way of knowing at that time, but isn't it ironic that you were asked to take on that role then? And it's just been great because it's helped you transition to where you are today with Ken Knox Company and doing your thing as Ken Knox Company, and yet honoring Chairman of the Board, you know, General Johnson. So I
have a dual role.
That's right.
And I'm going to continue this role with the help of our fans. And again, like I said, they have stayed behind me. So Ken, we don't care what you call it, we're with you. And I appreciate them, and I love them for staying with me.
Well, you know, I think any fan of Chairman of the Board is just so happy to know that you and Danny, you know, are still out there doing Chairman of the Board music, honoring that General Johnson's legacy and just carrying it forward, because the fans want that, and you know, and that is what he wanted, and so it's just a great thing, and of course the fans are going to be behind you guys because of what you've given to us through so many years, decades of great music.
I can say, Dawn, we've seen kids go to college and from college have their own families.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you can't beat this music.
No,
Carolina Beach music is the music.
It is.
And it's a household music, and it grows with each generation. So we're very, very honored to be a part of it. And, you know, again, we love them.
Oh, yeah. Well, they love you as well. So thank you so much for all that you've given to Carolina Beach music through the years, and to the tremendous contribution that Chairman of the Board has made, the impact that Chairman of this Board has not only made in Carolina Beach music, but worldwide. It's just an incredible thing. And so I know that there are going to be many, many more years, Ken Knox Company and us hearing great, great music as you go forward. No doubt about that.
Thank you so much, Dawn. I enjoyed it, but I want to hear I'm Ready, Willing, and Able.
Well, I'm ready, willing, and able to play it. So, Ken, thank you so very much for being our
let's do this again.
I would love to. I would love to have you on any time. And so definitely, and I definitely want to get out to see you. And by the way, before we close, where are you going to be performing in the near future?
Oh, okay. We're doing a concert. Actually, right now we're in rehearsals. We're doing a performance at the Don Gibson Theater in Shelby, North Carolina on March the 15th with Eddie Floyd, Maurice Williams, a group called Image, and the Spontanes. And
oh, wow.
Yeah, it's going to be great.
What a show.
Looking forward. So, yeah, look forward there. And also we're going to be at the North Carolina Wine Festival right there in Clemens on May 26th, I believe.
Now, and Chairman of the Board has played that in the past, correct?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
well,
and we played it last year as Ken Knox Company.
I'm just thrilled that you guys are still able to do that or are a part of that, because I know wine lovers, and that's a huge festival for North Carolina, and it draws a lot of people, and that is one of the draws is your great music. So I'm so glad that you guys are still a part of that, and I'm going to try to get out to that. I haven't been before, but I've always wanted to go, and I've always had a conflict because of the weekend it falls on, but this year I'm really going to make a point, and I would love to get to Shelby to see you guys as well. So
if you decide to, let me know. You have tickets waiting at either one of them.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate that, Ken. Well,
and if you do, bring your microphone so you can get some drops from us.
Well, all right, I'll do that. Well, Ken, this has been a true pleasure and joy. I can't express enough my sincere thanks to you for being on our show and just being a part of what we do. And thank you so much for just great music and continuing to keep the memories alive. And so just I wish you much continued success in this year and beyond.
Thank you so much, Delta Dawn. Enjoyed your show. Again, one of the best shows out there. Hey, anytime you need me, just send me an email.
I'll do it. Well, thank you, and likewise. And please give our best to the guys.
I will.
In company. I mean, give our best to everyone. Hellos and many thanks as well. And so we're going to close our show with I'm Ready, Willing, and Able, Ken Knox Company. And for Beach Party Radio, I am DJ Delta Dawn. Take care, all. Thanks so much for listening, and have a great night.
On my face, but whenever you leave me, darling, my mind begins to race. my heart will surely break. He can love you like I love you, but only you can make this right. I'm ready, willing, and able. I've got to fight for your love. I'm ready, willing, and able. Girl, I need your love. You say you love me. You say you need me, girl. I don't believe it's true. But if you love me, and if you need me, please don't say the truth. I know the grass looks greener on the other side, but I've been fighting more each day, girl, to keep our love alive. I never knew love like this till you came my way. You got me hooked on your love, girl. I need it every day. But he can love you like I love you. Only you can make me right. I'm ready, willing, and able. I've got to fight for your love. Ready, willing, and able. Girl, I need your love. Can't nobody love you like I do. Can't nobody love you